Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. As mentioned in the daily financial news, we've got two of our experts today, and we start off strong with Matt, the lumberjack landlord. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing super awesome and super bright in my orange today.
I see that.
I was like, holy cow, that might be too much orange for one camera.
The camera's like freaking out. How do I?
They're like, man, that's bright. I'm like the sun. Look away.
Oh, that is funny. Well, I got to tell you, right before I started my daily financial news, I looked at the 10-year note. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh my God. Thank God I'm talking to Matt today.
Yeah.
You see that? You see that thing fall off a cliff?
I'm like, Mike, I don't know what's going on. I mean, again, I'm definitely annoying my mortgage people. I've already sent them 3 messages today going, are you watching the 10-year? I know. It's a private rate. It's a portfolio rate. I know it's not directly tied to the 10-year. I'm taking all the excuses.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Stop.
And I'm like, but still, it's at 1.3. It's got a 1.3 handle. I don't want to hear it. I need my rate for my portfolio loans.
Yeah. So folks, if you've ever thought about locking in a rate, or if you're floating or whatnot, you got a gift today.
Do it now.
Do it now. Yeah. I actually sent a note to Matt, the mortgage guy, because he will actually be my last interview before I take off for 6 days tomorrow. So
Unreal.
folks, yeah, you're going to see us. I'm going to actually try to record lots of videos, so you still have 3 videos to watch every day. The only video I'll be doing live is the daily financial news, because I got to keep that 2.5-year trend going. Other than that, everything will be recorded early. So Matt, we're going to do 4 videos today. You ready?
I'm ready.
Awesome. So the 10-year crashes. Obviously, people can lock in. They can take advantage of that. That's all good. That's kind of micro.
Sure.
Do your thing.
Yeah.
I step back from this going,
yeah.
What could this mean? Like, usually the 10 years, like it moves, but it doesn't move violently.
Yeah, it will trade in a range, right?
Yeah.
It'll trade in a range of maybe, like 10 basis points, unless there's some crazy news out, like some big jobs report or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And you see this big, huge pump, and Mike, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a 9th grade dropout, but I don't get it. Everything that I read, everything that I watch, everything that I keep track of, this is like completely counterintuitive. The only thing, and this is completely out there, but the only thing that I'm thinking now is I was thinking only of US market, right?
Sure.
And so
yeah.
with my lovely son's sleep regression, I have the opportunity to watch a decent amount of overseas CNBC, which is criminal, because I should not be up that early.
Yeah, you shouldn't be up.
So
that's not good.
Samuel will go back to bed again.
Yeah.
And so, but I get up. So I'm watching it, but usually we're always so focused on just what the US is doing, Interesting. The only theory that I have, and it's completely out there, take it for what it's worth from a 9th grade dropout.
Yeah.
I think that this could have something to do with a lot of these other economies that are at negative interest rates. You can still invest here and get an interest rate.
Interesting. So yeah, really, this could be about the US coming out of it first, the rest of the world kind of still being in trouble, and like, hey, I'm going to go put my money there. It's the safest place to be.
Correct.
And then they'll remove it when their economies open up in 6 or 9 or 12 months. That's interesting. That's not bad for a 9th grade dropout. I like it.
I'm just picking the pieces and putting them together. But I think, as I look at it, I just think, there's these major economies, right?
Sure.
Japan. Yeah. They're basically at 0 or negative.
Negative.
Germany's negative.
Yeah.
I mean, all these really large economies, like top 10 economies, top 15 economies, they're at 0. And 1.5 is 1.5.
No. Yeah. 1.5 beats negative.
Yeah.
I just want to tell you
that
right
much
now.
I know from 9th
that
grade
much I
dropping
know.
out.
Yeah. That's amazing. Because when I step back from this and I look at it, because again, right, the 10-year note, generally speaking, I've been watching it so long, I can predict, or it goes in the direction that I think it will, right? I don't get the movements right, but up, down, flat, right? Because it's got so much money behind it. It doesn't really surprise you that often, but it surprised me today.
Well, when we were talking about a week and a half ago, maybe. And I told you that I was still a floating rate. I got the Mike Zuber face.
Yeah. It's like,
oh, you're whatting?
Yeah. You're doing what?
And I was like, I know. I just have a feeling. I feel like we're going to have another blip. And honestly, I didn't think it was a 1-3 blip at all. I thought we would get down into low 1-4s, which would get me down into the 4.25s because it's a portfolio loan.
Yeah.
I can lock in at 4.25 because I'm going to be in that for 30 years.
Right.
And so I just looked at it and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I can get there. But now I'm going for 4 1/8, man.
Don't get greedy.
No, I've literally, honestly, when they call me back, I've literally texted everybody. When they call me back, I'll just be like, okay, if it's at 4 1/4, just lock it. Because then honestly, I hate watching rates on a daily.
That's not part of your day.
Every single day that, when you wake up and you look at the rate, like that's one of my first things in the morning. I wake up and I look at the rate, my stomach flips.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, and then you see it and it's down. You're like, oh, okay, maybe there's a chance today. I need to get off of this train. This is like Space Mountain. And so I need to get off of this ride. I do not want to be rate looking this is horrible.
Yeah. It's not a good life.
Yeah. Not a good life.
Yeah. I think you're right. Cause I think, Again, this surprised me so much this morning. There's only 2 things I came to. I like your idea about rest of world, because the other thing I was thinking about is I go back to our conversation about Jamie Dimon like a month ago.
Yeah.
Where he's like, dude, I got $500 billion. I'm keeping it in cash. I'm like,
it's 7 now.
Yeah, exactly. It probably is, right? Because I think he's doing 50 billion a week.
Yeah.
It might be 8. Shoot, who knows? But I was looking at that going, maybe there's more Jamie's, just generically speaking, out there. And again, it's not a person, it's a company, right? It's a
sure
hedge funds. But I'm like, okay, so if the powerful 1% of the 1% are sitting in cash,
right?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Because again, the opportunity cost of being in cash versus 10-year, they don't really care, right? 1% doesn't move the needle for them.
No.
However, if they can have, because again, we have inflation. I mean, Jesus Christ, look at oil today. Oil's up almost $80 with calls for 100. I mean, I don't know about you, but I buy gas and fill up my tank, and it was $5 in California. It's like,
crazy. Well, thankfully, we shut down all those pipeline projects.
Oh yeah, of course.
I mean, let's stop those. Let's go stop those. But again, it's just more of a, global story, right?
Yeah.
And when we talk about, for years, right? For what was it back? Probably 10 years ago, 8 years ago. I mean, I don't remember exactly how long it was, but do you remember when the mantra was always, we don't want to be dependent upon overseas energy. But it was, and there's the message now, but it's more of an undertone. It was like in your face. And that's why
energy independence.
And we started doing all this drilling and all these great projects and shale and all these other crazy, amazing things.
Yeah.
And now we're reversing the trend on all of that. And that's what's scary. I mean, literally, Mike, 4 months ago, oil was $50 a barrel.
Yeah. Well, last year it was negative 35. Remember that day?
I do. I didn't have a tanker available.
Yeah, exactly. I just had a place to put it.
Otherwise, I would have taken them up on it. But that's the scary thing about this one, is that it just, this is starting to signal extreme market dislocation, because usually you can kind of explain things, at least after they happen. You can kind of look back and go, okay, I see why that's doing that.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly where I'm going with this, right? Yeah. Dislocation is the right word. And again, these people are making bets with hundreds of billions of dollars. And again, this is my most likely outcome, although I like your rest of world idea, is these people are just sitting in cash going, the party's over.
Yeah.
Right. There's still a bunch of drunks in the room. They just don't know it.
Yep.
And we're going to wait for the fire marshal and police to show up.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. I mean, this is so much like a freaking New Year's Eve party after midnight. And they're just going to sit on the sidelines, fully sober, right? They're not drinking. They're like, hey, we brought the alcohol, but we're not drinking it.
Yep.
And they're going to we're going to buy stuff on sale. That's what I think is happening. They're going to get a 30 or 40% off. They're going to lose a little bit with inflation, like 2%. They're like, who cares?
Who cares?
I'll lose 2% to make 40.
Yep.
So that's what I fear is coming, is they're like, you idiots are still buying in this market. That's what I think is happening.
It's like what you and I always talk about, which is watch what they're doing, not what they're saying.
Yes.
And how many, we talk about what we did. You and I refied a large part of our portfolio. I believed So much so that I took action.
Yeah.
That this thing is going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to catch the falling knife and time it perfectly. And by the way, some awesome comments from people on some of the videos last week. I completely disagree with some of them.
Yeah.
But they were awesome comments and well thought out ideas.
Yeah.
I just think that, when you're trying to time a market perfectly, you lose every time. You can't, it's literally just impossible to do.
Yeah.
So you have to look at probabilities, risk assessment. That's what you and I are. We're risk managers. What's the likelihood that if I buy a property today and I buy it at 3.75 and it's $600,000, and 2 years from now, it's only worth $450,000, but the rate is 5.5. Well, I'm still okay, especially if it's fixed rate.
That's the key.
That's the key is fixed debt. Commercial stuff is the scary stuff right now.
Oh yeah. I don't know what it is about my feed right now, but it has got a bunch of people celebrating apartment wins and capital raises and stuff. I'm like, ooh, I truly believe some of the deals being done today have locked in losses. Like, congratulations, you just lost $100 million.
The scariest thing that I think that I could recall from all of the stuff that I watched in the last month, the scariest interview or the result for the scariest interview, I think, is a guy that you did with your channel where they bought the apartment complex in Ohio.
I remember that one. Yeah.
That market had 45% growth in listings.
Yep.
Rumba. I just got the shivers. That could be scary.
Yeah. So again,
I
folks,
hope he's okay.
Yeah, I hope he's okay. Again, the 10-year note, folks, it rolled over this morning. I think it signals, again, inflation is here. We all see it. The individuals see it. But I think what you're seeing is the Uber, like the 1% of the 1% are signaling a buying opportunity and they want to have cash available. That's what I think it signals. I do love your idea about rest of world, right? Germany negative, Japan negative, others are negative. So that makes sense, right? Because you can, I can play that out. That makes sense in my head, right? The U.S. economy is coming out first. It's the most vaccinated area, right? That generally speaking means less death. Other countries are still hurting. So I could see that I could tie that out. I'm going to give that some more thought. So I think that's great. How can people follow you? Because you put out amazing stuff on YouTube.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, lumberjacklandlord.com and lumberjack landlord on YouTube. And we're definitely going to rethink the all orange.
Yeah. No, man, come on.
I mean, company color, but still, this is a little aggressive. This is a little aggressive.
I think I'm actually getting a sunburn over the Zoom camera.
Perfect. It wouldn't surprise me. Get your SPF 50 out.
There you go, brother. Thanks again.
Thanks, Mike.